Hello, brilliant students. You're welcome to another class with Mr. Olukorede. I'm excited having you here today. All right. Okay. Today we are going to continue from where we stopped yesterday. We are going to look at some past questions. So I want you to get set, get your writing materials ready, and let us swing into action. But before we go, now, if you are just joining this class for the first time, ensure you tap on the subscription button before you leave, and also don't forget to tap the like button. And everyone, as you are joining the class, make sure you say hi to the whole class so that we know those that are available for today's class. All right, so we are not going to be wasting much time today. So let's start with the first question here. All right, I want to be sure every one of you can hear me clearly. Now, if you can hear me, please, can you indicate, can you hear me? All right, okay. Now, let's commence with this first question here. And there's the first one. Now, if sine theta equals to 3/5 and theta is an acute angle, find 2 tan theta. Okay, so this is the first question. So how do we do this? Now, the first thing is to quickly recall your SOHCAHTOA, the trig ratio. SOHCAHTOA, all right? Now, O represents opposite, H hypotenuse, A is adjacent. So now let's draw our right angle triangle, all right? So now angle theta is an acute angle. So that means we have theta here. So this is opposite, this is adjacent, and this is hypotenuse. Now look at what we are giving. We are giving sine theta equals to 3/5. And don't forget sine, which is opposite over hypotenuse. So that means opposite is 3 and hypotenuse is 5. So you can just put it here. We have 3 and then 5. All right, so now let's get this place. Now you can call this x, which is the adjacent. All right, so we are going to be making use of Pythagoras theorem. The square of the two sides when added together will be equal to the square of the hypotenuse. So we have 3 squared plus x squared equals to 5 squared. All right, and this is what? 9 plus x squared equals to 25. Now, x squared equals to 25. You transpose 9, that's minus 9. So x squared now equals to 16. So you take square root of both sides. We have x equals to square root of 16. So x is what? 4 units. All right. So that means what we have here now is what? 4. Okay. So now, but what the question wants us to get is 2 tan theta. So we have 2 tan theta will be equals to 2. Now, tan theta, look at tan, that's opposite over adjacent. All right. So tan theta is opposite. What is our opposite? 3. Adjacent is 4. So that is 3/4. So we just plug it in to replace this. So we have 3/4. Now 2 goes there, 1, 2 goes there, 2. So our answer is 3/2. Or write it as 1 whole number, 1/2. So that is the answer to that problem. I hope we all understand that. All right. Okay. So if you have any comment based on that, please drop that in the comment section. All right, the second question is under quadratic equation. Solve r squared plus 4r minus 12 equals to 0. Okay, so that is the question. So let's see, how do we solve this? Now, before I solve, I want you to also make an attempt, try something before we commence solving. All right. Okay, so how do we solve this problem? Now, the first thing is to identify the sum and product. Now, the sum is the coefficient of r. So sum is what? Sum is plus 4. And y, the product, is the coefficient of r squared times this number that is dependent of r. That is, product is negative 12. So we need two numbers when multiplied together, you have negative 12. And when added together, you have 4. What are the two numbers? So we have plus 6 and negative 2. Okay, so when you multiply this together, you have negative 12. When added together, you have 4. So that means that this 4r can be expressed as 6r minus 2r. That is the same thing as 4r. So now can we incorporate that? So we have r squared plus 6r minus 2r minus 12 equals to 0. Okay, so now the GCD of these two numbers, r squared and 6r, that's r. So we have r plus 6. Now the GCD of these two numbers is negative 2. We have negative 2. Now when you divide negative r 2r by negative 2, so you have r. Divide negative 12 by negative 2, so you have plus 6. All right, so now let's factor out this, r plus 6. So when you factor out that, you have r plus 6, and you are left with what? R minus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so two entities multiplying each other to have 0. So it's either r plus 6 is 0 or r minus 2 is 0. All right, so you can transpose 6. So we have r equals to negative 6 or r equals to 2. So that is the answer to that problem. So I hope we all understand that. So if you have any issue based on that, please, I want you to drop that in the comment section. Okay, so I'm moving down to another question. All right, so this question is going to be on set theory. Okay, so I want to believe every one of you are familiar with set theory. Okay, so then let's see how to solve this. Okay, now let's call U to be the set of negative 3 less than or equals to set of x, set of x such that negative 3 is less than or equals to x, less than or equals to 5, x is a member of integer, okay, and A is the set of x such that x is composite. B is a set of x such that negative 1 is less than x less than 5, where x the natural number. A lists members of sets calling U, A, and B. B, find number of elements in set A intersection B, and C, find A union B. Okay. All right. I hope we can see the question on the board. So how do we solve this problem? Now this question is under set theory. Now we are given that calling U which happen to be the universal set. All right, it will be the set of x such that the column means such that -3 is less than or equals to x less than or equals to 5, where x is a member of integer. All right, so and A is the set of x such that x is what? Composite. And also B is the set of x such that -1 is less than or equals to x less than 5, where x is natural number. All right, so now the question asks us to list members of the following sets. So let's start with the first one. Solution. So we have this calling you. Now this is the set of numbers that start from -3 down to 5. Okay, and you can see -3 is inclusive because we have an equality sign there. The same also applies to this 5. Okay, so now let's list the members. So we have -3, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so that is the universal set. -3 to 5. All right, so let's look at the second set, set A. Now, set A is what? Composites. Set of composite. What are composite numbers? Composite numbers are natural numbers that have two distinct divisors or more. All right. Okay. They have more than two distinct divisors. All right. So they are 4, and I think it's only 4 that we have here. All right. So look at what we have here. Counting numbers. All right. So it's only 4 that have more than 2 distinct divisors. All right. Now this one have only 2 distinct divisors. The same also applies to 2, and the same thing also applies to 5. So what we have there is just 4. So it's a singleton set, a single set. All right. Now let's look at the second set, B. Okay, B is the set of x such that -1 is less than or equal to x, and x is less than 5. So now if you have to list these numbers we have here, we have -1 is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. You must not include 5 because there's no equality sign here. All right, so that means 5 is not inclusive. The values of x must be less than 5. So, and that means it's not equal to 5. Now, the second thing you need to look at now, look here. Set of x are what? Natural numbers. So what are natural numbers? They are simply counting numbers. So now, so that means we disqualify this and this. So the set of B now is going to be 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now you have to pay attention to this. Whenever you are listing members, make sure you put them in a curly bracket. So you cannot just use any bracket. So if you put it in a bracket different from curly brackets, so you lose points. So that means what you have written is wrong. So let's pay attention to that. Now let's look at the next one. Now the question says find number of elements in A intersection B. So the first thing is to find A intersection B. Now we want to get the elements that are in set A and are also in what? Set B. So that is the meaning of intersection. The elements in set A and in set B. So now can we do that now? A intersection B. So what are those elements that are inside A and are also inside B? It's just only one element, and that's 4. 4 is here, 4 is also here. All right, so we have 4. Okay, but the question wants us to get number of elements in these sets that we just got. Number of elements in the set. So number of elements in A intersection B will be what? That will be 1. You just count and you write 1. So many students make mistake here. After getting the 1, they put the 1 in brackets. Now if you put it in brackets, you are going to lose points because you are making a count. It's not a set, it's just a count. Number of elements we have inside a set. So it's not actually a set. Okay, so that is the answer to that. Now let's look at the third one. A union B. A union B. Now, the word union means you put together. Okay, so we want to put together A and B. So this is A and B. You put them together, you add them together. So A union B equals to, now let's put this and this together. But you must be careful. Don't repeat elements. Don't repeat numbers. So that's going to give you 1, 2, 3, and 4. So this is the set that contains set B and set A. All right, so you can see we have 4 here, we also have 4 here. So 1 to 4, they are here. So that is the answer to the problem. So I hope you understand that. All right, so if you have any question based on that, please, you can drop your observation in the comment section. Okay, so now let us look at another question. Okay, let me give you this question under modular arithmetic. Modular arithmetic. You have done a lot of questions under modular arithmetic, so I just want us to try this simple one. So now let me give you, I'll just give you 30 seconds to try it before we do it together. Find the simplest form of 30 minus 17 mod 5. Okay, so now I want you to try this and drop your answer in the comment section. So let me just give you 30 seconds to quickly attend to that. Okay. So what do you have? If you have the answer, you can drop it in the comment section. What is the answer to that problem? Find the simplest form of 30 minus 17. Okay. 30 minus 17. So what do you have for that? Okay, let me see if you have the answer. Okay, so this is very simple. So the answer to this now is going to be, you just say 30 minus 17 in mod 5. You subtract. So that gives you what? That gives you 13 mod 5. So, and this is going to give you what? That's going to give you 5 times. Now just divide 13 by 5. Okay. Now when you divide 13 by, how many 5 are you going to see in 13? That is what? 2. We have 2. So the remainder is what? 3. So we have plus 3. So you write the remainder here. Okay, so in mod 5. So that means the answer is going to be 3 mod 5. Okay. Now, what if the question is in this form? Suppose you are given this 17 minus 30 in mod 5. So how do you do this? Okay, can you quickly try this one now and drop your answer in the comment section? So make sure you are trying something, just do something. So you have 17 minus 30. So what do you have as your answer? Okay, so try that and let's see what you're going to have. Okay, I'm not seeing any. Okay. All right, I've not seen anything yet, probably maybe because of the network. Okay, so now let's do it together. Solution. So how do you do this one in the simplest form? So when you subtract, this time around you're going to have negative 13, right? So in mod 5. Now see, now when you divide this by 5, see what do you have? You have negative 2, right? So we have 5 times negative 2. This one gives you negative 10. So that means plus negative 3. Okay, in mod 5. So you can write this as negative 3 in mod 5. Okay, but you can't leave your answer in this form because it's negative. All right, so what do you do next? So we have 5 times negative 1. So just multiply what we have here times negative 1. So and this one is going to give you negative 5. But what we have here is what? Negative 3. So you ask yourself, what are you going to add to negative 5 here that will give you negative 3? All right, so that is 2. So that's going to be plus 2 in mode 5. So I want you to pay attention to this. I hope you all understand that. Okay, so and that gives you 2 mode 5. So this is the answer to the problem. All right, so that's that. Okay, now let's move down to another question. Okay, I want to believe you guys are learning. And don't forget, as you are joining the class, make sure you tap the like button and, you know. Okay, let's look at this question. All right, under mensuration. Now, a trapezium. A trapezium has 2 parallel sides of length 2.5 centimeter and 7.5 centimeter. Now, if the area is 27 centimeters square, now find the distance between the 2 parallel sides. Okay, so now this is the question. Yes, I'm going to give you a minute to just quickly make an attempt before we solve the problem together. So it's a very simple question. So let's try it. And so once you have an answer, you drop that in the comment section. Let me see what you have for that. Okay. Is anybody with the answer now? Okay, I'm not seeing anything in the comment section, so by now you should have dropped your answer. Okay, now let's solve it together. So probably maybe some of you are still working on it. Now, a trapezium has 2 parallel sides of length 2.5 centimeter and 7.5 centimeter. If the area is 27 centimeters square, find the distance between the 2 parallel sides. So now we must know the properties of a trapezium. A trapezium must always have 2 parallel lines. So we have this, so it looks like this. So we have parallel lines. Okay, so the 2 parallel lines, now one is 2.5, another is 7.5. 0.5. Okay, so and we want to get the distance between the two parallel sides. So, and that is h. Now the area has been given. What is area? Area is 27 centimeters squared. Okay, so how do you go about this? Now I need to write out the formula for calculating area of the trapezium. So what's that? We have area equals to 1 over 2 a plus b times height. All right. Now a is the side, the first side. B is the second side. H is the distance between the two sides. Now we are given the area to be 27. So we have 27 equals to 1 over 2. Now A is what? 2.5 plus 7.5 times H. So here we have 27 equals to 1 over 2. When you add this together, you have 10. So times 10 times H. All right, so 2 goes there, 1, 2 goes there, 5. So we have 27 equals to 5h. Okay, so here we can divide both sides by 5. So when you do that, you have, let's do that here. So we have 27 over 5 equals to h. So what do you have as your answer? So how many 5 are you going to see here? That is, so h is going to be 5 whole number 2 over 5. That's going to be in centimeter, or in decimal, because these are in decimal, so you can write your height as 5.4 centimeters. So that's the height, the distance between the two parallel lines. So I hope you all understand that. All right, so let's quickly move down to another question. Okay, so before I solve this, I want you to try it on your own. Let's see what you're going to have. It's a very simple one. So 5 raised to the power of 3x plus 1 equals to 125. So this is a very simple one. So is anybody doing this? If you have the answer, you drop it in the comment section so you can use 30 seconds to do that. All right, so while you are doing that, if you are new on this channel, ensure before you leave, you subscribe to this channel. All right, so if you love what we are doing here, all right. So anybody with the answer, if you have your answer, kindly drop that in the comment section. Let me see what you have for that. Anyone? Okay, so I'm not seeing any answer yet. So it's not difficult. So how do we do this? Now we have 5 raised to the power of 3x plus 1 equals to 125. Now the first thing is to look at what we have here. So you express this in index form, and that is 3x plus 1 equals to 5 raised to the power of 3. Okay, 5 times 5 is 25, 25 times 5 is 125. So now since we have seen this, okay, so you can equate the powers. Okay, that preserves the equality. So we have 3x plus 1 equals to 3. So you transpose 1. So we have 3x equals to 3 minus 1. So we have 3x equals to what? 2. So you can divide both sides by 3. So when you do that, what do you have? You have x equals to 2 over 3. So that's going to be the answer to the problem. All right, so I hope you understand that. All right. So let's look at another one. Another question. Okay, let me see. This. Simplify. Simplify a raised to the power of 2 minus p raised to power 2 over a plus p. Okay, I want you to do this in 30 seconds. So make sure you are participating, make sure you try something and drop your answer in the comment section. It's not difficult. So let's see what you are going to have for that. So once you have an answer to this, please quickly drop that in the comment section. Anyone with an answer? If you have an answer to that, please kindly drop. All right. Okay, can we do it together? Okay, so now when you look at this problem, I will pay more attention to the numerator because that is what I need to simplify. Now, when you look at the numerator, we have subtraction of 2 squares. Okay, so that sounds something to you. Now, that is difference of 2 squares. Now, look at this identity. Whenever you have x squared minus y squared, the result is x minus y, x plus y. Okay, so if you expand this, you're going to have this. All right, now, so the numerator of this will just change. So let's see, a squared minus p squared over a plus p is the same thing as a minus p and a plus p. Everything over a plus p. Do you get that now? All right, so this cancels this out. So the answer is a minus p. You can see it's so simple. So we are not supposed to use up to 30 seconds to solve this. Even by inspection, we can predict the answer. All right, so that's a very simple one. Okay, can we move down to this? This is under trigonometry. Let's try this question together. See. The angle of elevation of the top towards on the top of the tower is 45 degrees. If the height of the tower is 50 meters. Okay, can we see this question on the board? All right, so let's look at this question. Does it look like what we can solve? Yes, the angle of elevation of the top of the tower is 45 degrees. If the height of the tower is 50 meters, so find the distance between the observer and the base of the tower. Okay, so that's the question. All right, is anybody dropping the answer to that? So it's something we can do just within 30 seconds. So all of these are just objective questions. So you're expected to use a very short time to do that. Anybody, if you have the answer to that, please kindly drop that in the comment section. Let's see what you're going to have for that. Anybody? Okay, okay. Now let's look at it together. Now, the question is talking about a tower. A tower is always on the ground and it's always perpendicular to the ground. So this is the tower. And this is the top of the tower. Let's call it T. This is the base of the tower. So we have an observer here. Now, the question says now that the angle of elevation of the top of the tower is 45. Now, many students make mistake when they have this type of question because they hear the top of the tower. Now, they put the angle here. No, the angle is not here because the observer is here. Is the one raising up his head by angle 45 degrees. So angle of elevation will always be beneath. Okay, so looking at the top of a tower, so that means this is going to be the line of sight. Looking at the top of the tower, the angle here is 45 degrees. I hope you understand that. So an observer is here looking at the top, elevating his head by 45 degrees and looking at the top of the tower. Now, we are told now that the height of the tower is 50 meters. All right, the question now is, let's call this place A. Now, what is the distance between the observer at point A now and the base of the tower? This is the base of the tower. So we need to get this. Now, let's represent this with X. Now, when you look at this now, this is opposite. This is what? Adjacent. Because this is the reference angle, right? So opposite, adjacent. So how do we do this? Right. Now when we say opposite and adjacent, that's tan. Okay, that's tua. Okay, tua. Opposite, adjacent. So we have tan 45 degrees equals to opposite. That's 50 over adjacent. That's X. All right. So now tan 45 is what? Is 1. Tan 45 is 1. So we have 1 equals to 50 over X. So you cross multiply, you have S equals to 50 meters. So that's the answer to that. Okay, so it's another smart way to answer this. Now, when you look at this, now the angle here is 45, and you know the sum of angle in the triangle is 180 degrees. So you already have this one to be 90. So what we have here now is going to be 45 as well. So now, what does that suggest? That means that is an isosceles triangle, and you know this angle here is equal to this angle here. Once the base angle are equal, so that means the side two must also be equal. All right. So that means this place is going to be 50. You can see. So we have X to be 50. So that's another way of solving this type of problem. All right. I hope you understand that. Okay. So now let's look at another question. Yes. Okay. Let me give you this on variation. Let's see what we're going to have. So A varies jointly as the square of B and C. When A is 18, B is 6, and C is 0.25. Now find B when A is 50 and C is 4. Okay, so how do we solve this? So this is joint variation. Now let's quickly look at it together. Now the question says A varies jointly as the square of B. So we have A varies jointly as the square of B. So we have B squared, and as C. So we have this. So of course now when you have this variation, what it implies is that A is equals to KB square C. where k is what? A constant. All right, so the next thing is to get the proportionality constant. So we plug in the values of A, B, and C. Now, can we do that now? Okay, so we have A is what in the question? That's 18. So we have 18. So that I've replaced the A here equals to K times B. What is B? B is 6. So we have 6 squared because we have B squared here. And times C. Times C. C is 0.25. All right. So now we have 18 equals to K times 36 times this is the same thing as 1 over 4. I hope you know that. All right. So 4 goes here, 1, 4 goes here, 9. All right. So we have 18 equals to 9K. So divide both sides by 9. So we have 18 over 9 equals to K. So K is what? 2. So we can now get the relationship between A, B, and C. So thus, we have A equals to, so in place of this K now you put 2. So we have 2B squared C. So this is the relationship between A, B, and C. Now the question now go further to find, asks you to find B when A is 50 and C is 4. Can we plug in the values? So A is 50, so we have 50 equals to 2 times B squared times C. C is what? 4, right? Okay, so we have 4. Okay, so what is the next thing to do? Now we divide both sides by the coefficient of B squared. All right, so the coefficient of B squared is 4 and 2. So we have 50 over 2 times 4 equals to B squared. All right, I hope you get that now. So what do we do next from here? Okay, so what do you do next from here? Now let's simplify this now. 2 goes here, 1. 2 goes here is 25. So we have 25 over 4. I hope you understand that. So equals to B squared. So here you can take square root of both sides. So we have square root of 25 over 4 equals to B. Okay, so therefore B is, now what square root of 25? That's 5 over what? 2. And that's the same thing as 2 whole number 1 over 2. So this is going to be the answer. All right. So that is the answer to that problem. So I hope we all understand that. All right. Now let's look at this question on the solid shape. A solid is made up of twelve centimeter by 8 centimeter by 6 centimeter with All right. Okay. So this is another question. So let's see, how do we solve this problem? All right. Now this is solid composite solid. Now a solid is made up of a cuboid of dimension 12 by 18 by 6 centimeter with a hemisphere, that is half of a sphere of radius 4 centimeter, mounted on top of the cuboid. So now the question asks you to find the total volume of the solid to the nearest whole number. So that means you need to find the volume of cuboid and you add it to volume of what? Volume of the hemisphere. So that's what we want to do. So that's the task we want to do. So now the shape looks like this. So on it we have an hemisphere on it. So now the dimension of this has been given. So we have here, this is 12 centimeter. We have 8. Okay, so this is 8 centimeter, and here is 6 centimeter. All right. So that's what we have. Now the radius of the cross-sectional area of the hemisphere has been given. That is what? 4 centimeters. So let's put it there. 4 centimeters. Okay. So now can we do it one after the other? So here we have volume of the hemisphere. Volume of hemisphere. Let's get that. So that is what? That's 2 over 3 pi r cubed. Okay. So, and that gives us what? 2 over 3 times 22 over 7 times the radius is 4. That is 4 raised to the power of 3. So, and that gives us what? 2 over 3 times 22 over 7 times 4 times 4, 16 times 4, that's 64. Okay, so what do we have when we do the multiplication? What do we have? Okay. What do we have? So that is the same thing as 2 times 22, that's 44 times 64 over 21. So if you do that, what do you have when you multiply together? So let's do that together. So we have 44 times 64. So that is 2,816, everything over 21. So when you do that, so when you divide that by 21, so you have 134.10. And that's going to be in centimeter cube because it's volume. So that's volume of hemisphere. Okay, can we take note of that? So we have volume of hemisphere. Hemisphere is what? 134.10 centimeter cube. Now the next thing is to get the volume of the cuboid. So what do we have for that? So we have volume of cuboid. That gives us what? Length times breadth times the height. So that's what? 12 times 8 times 6. So when you do that, what do you have? That should give you 570 what? Let's confirm that. Times 8 times 6. Okay, 576. Okay, so that's 576 centimeter cube. Okay, so now this is the volume of the cuboid. This is the volume of the hemisphere. So now to get the volume of a solid, so we add the two together. All right, so volume of solid, now we have 576 plus 134.10. So we have 0, 1. This is 0. Okay. So this is 1. Okay. So when we add this, so we have 7.8. So and that's going to be in centimeter cube. But the question asks you to correct your answer to the nearest whole number. So the nearest whole number here, now what we have here before the decimal point is the whole number. So that means the answer to this problem now is going to be 710 centimeter cube. Okay, so that is the answer to that. So what I want to give you as an assignment, you can try that. So in the next class, we are going to discuss that. Find the total volume of area of the solid. Find the area of the solid. Find the area of the solid. All right. So I'm going to be stopping here today. I want to believe we've learned one or two things. We have touched a lot of topic for today. So I hope you guys have learned one or two things. So if this is your first time joining us, so if you love what we are doing, please, before you leave, ensure you tap the subscription button, and don't forget to also tap the like button. All right. Okay. So drop comments and let me see if there's any part of what we have done you want me to re-explain, so I can always do that in the next class. So thank you very much being there. Bye bye.